What's up, Bulldogs? All right, today I wanted to talk about your heart. All right, I want to talk about what it means to be open. Okay, because I talk about this a lot. I'm going to do another video kind of recapping the 3 levels of emotional maturity or of emotional progress, right? Emotional mastery, that's what I call it. I forgot the name for my own thing, right? But it's not going to be this video, but I will do a video. If you want to see it, make sure you subscribe and check the videos on the daily videos here. But I want to talk about a concept in that, because there is the highest level of emotional mastery is what I call feel the pain and keep on walking. Okay, and in that state of feeling the pain and keep on walking, it's sort of hard to describe what it is. But what it is it's a state where you are not repressing or expressing emotions, but you're processing them or feeling them, okay? You're letting them be, and you're remaining open. And what I want to talk about in this video is what it means to be open, because open is something that I think a lot of spiritual people talk about, a lot of people, hear, and they don't really understand what it means to be open. Because this is the practice that I've been putting into practice this week, putting an emphasis on being open. So I really had to examine, what does it mean to be open? Well, first of all, it means to have your heart open. I know that you might have been like, duh, John, yeah, I already knew that. I didn't know that, okay? I kind of figured that out this week. I was like, oh yeah, that probably means to mean your heart open, right? Because it's like closed position, open. I mean, they're kind of similar. It's kind of true. It's like if you're closed off, but if you're open, it's not just an open mind we're talking about. In fact, we're not even really talking about an open mind at all. Okay, that's a different thing. It's in the wrong place. We're talking about an open heart. So what is an open heart versus a closed heart? What does an open heart do? Well, an open heart only does one thing. It loves. That's it. Okay, a closed heart, it does sort of the opposite of love. It hates, it turns off, it grumbles, it complains, right? That's what a closed heart does. And so the idea of life, right? The ideal of life, let's say, is to live life completely with an open heart, always in a state of love, always loving. Now, I know that some of you guys are like, wait a minute, isn't this Bulldog Mindset? Isn't this teaching me how to be a man, how to be masculine? Yeah, this is what this is, okay? You just didn't know what it was because there's a lot of guys saying, oh, you got to beat your chest and do all this stuff. Okay, there's a time to beat your chest, all right? You do need to beat your chest, okay? That is part of being the alpha male. You got to do the beating of the chest, but now is not the time, all right? But even through doing that, right? And I'm joking, but even through your assertiveness and aggression and dominance, okay? Even through all of those things, the drive that you have, your strength, the current that has to underlie it is one of love. That is having the open heart. And so it means that practically, right? So the play, let's talk about where this comes into play, right? So the places this comes into play for most men is going to be when a woman tells you something that you don't want to hear, usually when she's expressing her emotions. It could be also condemnation from someone else, an insult, your father, could be any of those things. But I'll talk in the context of a woman, okay? Because if you're a guy in a relationship, if you're married, if you have a girlfriend, whatever, if you're dealing with women, which is most guys, then you're going to experience this. And what happens is that, let's say that your woman, she says something that is irrational, it's emotional, you don't like it, it feels like an attack on your character or an attack on you. In that instant, your natural reaction is for your heart to close, right? The love that you were giving, now you want to be like, I don't want to give that love anymore, okay? And how do you close your heart? Well, you are defensive, you try to defend your position, you try to justify that, right? You feel like, wow, this person doesn't understand me. How could this person do this? Why would they say this? What is going on here? I don't want to hear this. Is this true? This is not cool, right? Like all of these alarms are going off in your head, and you're saying to yourself, I don't know if I even know this person. Like, this is not, I don't like this at all. I don't like this. I am getting sort of angry. I'm getting sort of ticked off here. This is irritating me, right? This is all your heart closing. The challenge is to leave your heart open. So leaving your heart open is to hear the thing that you don't like hearing and still respond in love, right? That might mean just like taking it in. That might mean that she says something that is hurtful to you and you just allow it to be hurtful to you. You just feel the pain of that thing. You don't go and cry and break down because of it, but you just let it in. You continue to love through the pain. And that's a really, really hard thing to do. But it is a thing that will change your life. It's not that this is a manipulation technique. It's not that this will make her behavior better or that it will get you what you want. Yeah, some of those things will happen because of this, but it will stop you from experiencing the suffering of resistance. Because when you close off, what you're really doing is you're resisting the world. And as a man, as a masculine man in his masculine energy, you've got to be able to step up and you've got to be able to take on the world. You cannot let the things affect you. You have to feel the things, fully experience life, let in the pain when there's pain. And you have to really think to yourself, I just want to see reality clearly. If this woman thinks and feels this way, I just want to know what she thinks and feels. I'm not, by her not saying it, it doesn't change that it was in her head, right? Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like when we're closing off, when we're closing our heart, what we're saying is that I would rather you have just not said this, but thought it, which is ridiculous, right? Because wouldn't you want to know the things that are being thought, even if they're painful, so that you could deal with them and understand those things? Or would you live in a fantasy world, not really seeing reality? Most of us would rather live in a fantasy world, myself included. There's many times I've caught myself, as I've been putting this into practice, where my reaction was a reaction instead of a response. Where instead of just opening my heart and really, it's not opening your heart, it's leaving your heart open, right? The ideal state would be that we're constantly having our heart open. We're constantly pouring out our love, right? The greatest gift that you can give as a man in this world is love. That is it. I've talked about this before in other videos, but if you're religious, it doesn't really matter if you are, but the Bible says that the greatest gift a man can give is to lay down his life for his friends. It's sacrifice. It's the ultimate showing of love, right? Love that is an unconditional love, like a sacrifice, to sacrifice your own self for other people. That is truly what love is. And so it's so much better to live life with an open heart. It's better for you, it's better for the people that you interact with, but it's a really, really difficult thing. So when I talk about open, that's what I mean. It means to have an open heart. It means that no matter what it is, no matter what someone says to you, you stand there and you take it. That's where, the Bible says, Jesus says, turn the other cheek. All right. I had a lot of problem. I grew up Christian. I'm not really anymore. I have different spiritual or religious views now. Okay. But that's not important. It's not important to this message. Okay. Because regardless of what your spiritual or religious views are, this still applies. I promise you. All right. Because it's just part of life. But I remember growing up, I had a really hard time with the turn the other cheek. I was like, give a man your shirt, turn the other cheek. I was like, what? Someone slaps me, I will slap their fucking face back. It's like, I'm not some pathetic, weak guy. Like, I don't know about this Jesus guy, like I'm not a coward. I just like let someone do some crap to me. That's how I used to think. Okay, at times I still think like that. It's hard to not think like that. But the point of turning the other cheek, it just means that your ego is not, you are so much greater than this problem or this thing that this person has done, that you're not going to react to it. You're just going to let it be what it is. And again, that might seem weak to you, but it's actually pretty strong. It's actually pretty strong to be able to continue to love even when someone is trying to inflict pain on you. Now again, This doesn't mean don't confuse this. This doesn't mean that you should allow a woman to disrespect you, or anyone to just completely disrespect you, or to abuse you or hurt you, or that if someone gets in a fight with you, you should just let them punch you in the face. Okay? That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying from a heart level, turn the other cheek. From a heart level. I'm saying if a woman disrespects you, you draw a boundary, you tell her where it is, and you say, hey, don't talk to me like that. That's not cool. Right? Like if a person talks to me like that, I will leave the situation. And you enforce that boundary. But from your heart, you're doing it in a place of love. You didn't close. You didn't react to that. The fact that she disrespected you didn't cause a kick to your ego that made it so you're like, I need to respond to this and show this bitch what's up. Okay? If someone physically punches you, again, maybe you should kick their ass. All right? Maybe you need to use some violence in a certain situation, especially if you're protecting yourself or someone else. Maybe that is necessary. I'm not saying to get your ass kicked. But can you kick someone's ass in love? No, you can't. I see fighters do it all the time. I see MMA fighters do it all the time. I see MMA fighters that will just beat the shit out of someone in the ring and then give them a hug afterwards, help them up, right? Congratulate them. Why? Because they're not fighting the person because they're reacting out of hatred or closing their heart. They're actually completely doing it out of love. They love the sport. They love what they're doing. They love this activity, right? They love the challenge. They actually love the person for helping them to experience challenge, right? Not to say that you see plenty of dicks in boxing matches or MMA fights that act like dicks and they think that they're shit. They usually end up eventually falling, right, because of their pride. But my point is that when you are in this position, right, where someone has done some harm to you, the turning the other cheek, it simply means to leave your heart open. And when you do that, what will happen is not only will it make your relationships better, and it will prevent you from doing things that you don't want to do and that you regret later, but it will give you a true insight into the other person to understand them and who they are. And it will help you grow as a person, right? Because there's a lot of things that I have been told by people, messages that have been delivered in the entirely wrong way. Sometimes a disrespectful way. Sometimes a yelling in my face way. All right? And those messages still had a kernel of truth, or sometimes they had a whole shitload of truth in them. And the times when I closed my heart to them, I didn't receive those messages. And so I had to receive them again and again. But the times I opened my heart to them, I was able to make changes and understand something a little bit more about myself, right? I don't want someone else and their behavior to create a resistance in my heart to make it so that I cannot see my own self. And sometimes we allow that to happen. So, like I said, if you're in a situation and a woman disrespects you, you can leave the situation. You cannot be with that woman. Those are choices you can make. But don't do it with a closed heart. Do it with an open heart. Make all the decisions in your life with an open heart. If you do that, you'll make better decisions. It's only when you close your heart. You notice when you close your heart, right, that you make bad decisions. You know that. I know that. That's what we do, right? See you tomorrow.